Hey, what's up, mi gente? It's Anthony Rosa, Mr. Remedy, and you are watching another show on the Roundtable Remedies. And I'm super excited tonight. We're talking about the power within acceptance. And I'm really excited for this cast. I got some great friends of mine on this show, and you're going to have an amazing time. Before we kind of jump into the show, I would like to allow the speakers in speaker rotation just to say hello and tell us a little bit about themselves. So, in speaker rotation, if you don't mind, Siddiqui.
Uh, good evening, everyone. My name is Sidiki Traore, and I'm the president and founder of Distance Education for Africa.
Absolutely. Thank you, Siddiqui. It's a pleasure to have you on. And second in rotation, we have Donnie Hudek with your friend there. Hi, Donnie.
Hi there, I'm Donnie Hudak, and this is my little buddy Drogon. He's a 1-year-old French bulldog, and hopefully he'll behave through the entire episode. I work for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, which we assist first responders, veterans, and service members of the military.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an amazing organization. And thanks for what you guys do. And then anchoring us in tonight, we have a good friend of mine, Darwin. Darwin, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks again, Anthony, for having us together here on this Roundtable Remedy platform. It's definitely amazing how far you've taken it. So congratulations to you and to your leadership on this platform. My name is Darwin Roman. For everybody watching out there, I'm also the president and CEO of the Latino Chamber of Commerce. Looking forward to hearing everybody's extraordinary story because everybody's got one to share. I'm looking forward to participating as well.
Absolutely, and I'm happy to have you on. Thank you. So, Roundtable Remedies was created to inspire, connect, and educate you from real people with real stories. And I hope that from our story, some of our challenges that you're going to hear tonight, that we're able to kind of give you some remedies. And the power within acceptance, what does it mean to you when you think of the term acceptance, right? It's kind of hard to change the things that you can't. And sometimes doing the same thing, expecting different results, what they say is the form of insanity. And so tonight, what we're going to talk about is the power within acceptance. And the first question that we're going to start off with is about breaking points. And so for those that are watching on the live, I would love for you to engage with us. So if you could like, comment, and share, of course, tag a friend if you'd like. But I want you to think about this first question about breaking point. Have you ever hit a breaking point, and what did you do to get yourself out? And so as we're beginning this conversation, Siddiqui, again, I appreciate you coming on, and we're talking about the power within acceptance. So, Siddiqui, please tell us a time in your life where you were struggling with something and you may have hit a breaking point. How did you feel, and what did you do to kind of get yourself out of that situation?
Well, Tony, thank you so much for this question. I think this is an incredible question about breaking point. For me, I would say the nonprofit I started called Distance Education for Africa, which is a nonprofit. As you know, when you have a nonprofit organization, sometimes, getting funding, the beginning is hard. So you struggle, and at some point you just want to, give up on everything. I was in Nairobi trying to get this organization working, and I tried everything possible. And, at one point I just said, okay, I'm going to just give up on everything and come back to the US. I think, that was in 2013 where I really hit the breaking point. I just want to give up on everything, throw everything away. Yeah, that was my breaking point.
And when Darwin, I saw you nodding your head, and just kind of as the president CEO of the Latino Chamber of Commerce, why were you grinning? What were you thinking about in the regards to just fundraising?
Well, in thinking about Siddiqui's story, everybody who's been in a leadership position understands exactly what he's talking about. There's moments of frustration. There's moments of despair. There are moments where you don't think your vision is going to come to a reality. But then regardless, you push through anyway, right? And the perseverance and the grit that's required of us is sometimes tested every day. We're paying the price for it every day. And I'd be lying to everybody watching this to tell you that as you grow in your journey, that the load would get lighter. It's not just the way it is. But it is not so much that the load gets lighter, or you hope so. It's that we get stronger, we get better, but we have to go through a certain process to get to that point.
I agree. So Siddiqui, talk us a little bit about that process. Obviously you didn't give up. So what solution did you find, and tell us where you are now with that.
Well, your question was the proven concept. I experienced, and how did I manage? I think what happened is, the solution was, patience. For me,
Patience.
I would say, patience, number one. Number two, believe in yourself. And number three, never give up. Those were the three proven concept I did to get out of it, because I finally, after struggling, and I just said, okay, let me be patient and try, and it worked, because after that breaking point, I came back to the U.S. and met the University of Virginia, and they gave us scholarships. And we studied with 100 students in
Wow.
seven countries. And today we have reached 60,000, in 54 countries in Africa.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. 60,000 students all over Africa.
Yes.
And imagine if you would have given up.
Exactly.
Imagine.
Yeah. So never give up. That's really the lesson. I tell people, believe in yourself.
Just think about the lives that you impacted. Now, granted, I know that when we hit breaking points, like, let's be honest, it kind of sucks, and when we're going through it, you sometimes don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Donnie, I see you're shaking your head. What are some of your thoughts?
No, I've been through, I think, as Darwin was saying earlier, when you're in leadership positions, a lot of times everyone's felt that frustration and that urge to almost give up, the struggle of what you're going through. And I myself have been through a very similar situation to what you've gone through, Siddiqui, and I very much appreciate the situation that you went through and the man that came out after through the tunnel. So, you've done some incredible things. So that's just phenomenal. So I appreciate you.
And it's really nice, right? Because again, the power within acceptance. It's really easy to accept defeat, and it's challenging to face that adversity and get through. And unfortunately, too many of us fall short of that. And there have been many times where I've quit in my life. And I think, what if I stayed the course? Sometimes when, you got to cut the fat, right? There's addition by subtraction. But just because that addition of subtraction method or formula is taking a step backwards to go a couple steps forward, Siddiqui, there might have been something that you had to do or change in that breaking point. What was it that you had to do to change the energy to finally get the University of Virginia to support you, to start with 100 to now be at over 60,000 students? What was that one change or that proven concept?
Yeah, the proven concept was, sometimes, opportunities come, but, networking also, help, connection helps too. So because, the breakthrough was my former boss when I went to see him and told him that I need some help. So sometimes you have to ask people and tell people you need help, because if you don't speak, people would not know that you're struggling. And don't be afraid. Don't close yourself up and stay, struggling and said, okay, I can't do this myself. So, I just, came and talked to my boss and I say, please, I need help, whatever you could do to help me with my organization. And he said, okay, I'll be happy to help you. He connected me with the right people, the right person. That right person connected me with the University of Virginia. So that was, the change, the breaking. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is you didn't allow the circumstances and the situation to kind of continue to hold you back. And in fact, you relied on your connections. And if you were not as passionate about it, that probably wouldn't have been as contagious and those individuals so eager to open up their network. Right. And I think that speaks a lot, right? Because Darwin, you are truly connected, right? Do you feel that with your connections, it's kind of helped you get to the position that you're in?
1,000%. I mean, I've always said it before, and this is a quote that I didn't come up with myself, but especially in business, that relationships are the most valuable currency in any business.
Right.
Regardless of the market, doesn't matter what the market is doing in terms of the stock market, interest rates. If you have some strong relationships, you can get through pretty much anything. I mean, there's been people that said it over before. I'd rather have $1 million. I'd rather have 1 million friends than $1 million. Right? Because 1 million friends, you could go a little further. $1 million can go fast pretty quickly.
Right.
And I wanted to get back to Siddiqui was talking about asking for help. Anthony talked about breaking points, and pivoting a little bit of our personal journeys. I know, Anthony, that you've been, by the way, doing a phenomenal job on your fitness journey, right? And you know what? The irony of us talking about breaking points is that we're actually, our goal within fitness is to get to a breaking point.
Right.
That's actually where the growth starts, right? And I was sharing with my journey as well with, I recently, this year, going on my 13th week now, been preparing for my first time ever in my life, by the way, maybe my last time, who knows, but I entered a bodybuilding competition. One of the toughest things I've done, very hard. I work with a trainer. I asked for help, Siddiqui, from a professional. Although I thought I knew what I was doing, I didn't, obviously, or I could obviously done a lot better. And working with this trainer has taught me a lot. It's taught me the perseverance. It's taught me to go past the breaking point. You know what it taught me? Another thing? One of the things that he's taught me, and I'm like, wow, what a lesson. Work the negative. So in a movement, you have a concentric and eccentric movement within an exercise, the positive and the negative. And the reality is that your muscles will react more efficiently when you work the negative. In other words, when the gravity is fighting you and pulling that weight down, that's where your muscles really at its most optimal moment to perform. And I've been learning that. I'm like, wow. In the meantime, I thought just pushing heavy weight was the way to go. It's working the negative, and your aim is to get to that point that you're feeling that lactic acid build up in your system, that it feels like it might as well be battery acid in your blood. It's terrible, right? But that's the point where things are working. Yeah. But you also have to ask for help. And in anything in life, there's going to be moments where we can't go past that point. In this scenario, I'm talking about a trainer, those forced reps, when I think I'm done with my 15, all of a sudden, guess what? His favorite thing to say to me is 5 more. Come on, 5 more. And ironically enough, I'm thinking I'm done. And somehow, with his help, I do 5 more, or whatever it is. Now, granted, after that, I may want to throw up, but it's done, right? It's done. And you get past it, and you think that you're about to die to this process. And that whole point of getting to failure in your body is actually success, which is crazy. Yeah. And we also, in our lives, we look at failure as a person, but it's not. It's an event. It's not real. It's not going to kill you. Nobody ever died from failing necessarily.
There's
Nobody
a
ever,
big fear
in
there.
other words, and also nobody ever drowned in sweat.
And it's we're talking, of course, about healthy living and your transformation. And I appreciate the compliment. I think it's really important to work on ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually, right? And I just wanted to ask those that are watching: is it hard to ask for help? Take a moment, process that, and put a comment, right? In is it hard to ask for help? I don't know. Maybe when I was younger, I kind of had that I know mentality. As I realized I don't know what I don't know, it became easier because then I started to, like you said, Siddiqui, connect with individuals that were genuine and really wanted to help me. And I found somebody that was a subject matter expert. So it's really interesting, Siddiqui, that how you shared it was it was not just one thing, it was just multiple connections,
Yeah.
and it led you to another connection.
Yeah.
But now, Siddiqui, I wanted to ask you an important question. Along the way, right? Darwin, you were talking about that feeling. Siddiqui, what was something that you felt that was kind of like in your mind? How did you protect your peace?
Well, the way I protected my peace, it's, I would call the first one, was, happiness. I just, for me, and I said, okay, I need to be happy even if things are not working. But if I keep, happiness in my heart and in myself, instead of putting negative feeling, that helped me tremendously. So, you would see me, but you wouldn't know that, things are hard. I keep continuing being happy.
Mm,
And then the second thing is, to be in peace with my conscience, to say, okay, I've done, I have really worked so hard and I believe in myself. And, so not to blame myself and said, okay, it's a failure. I never have that feeling at all. So happiness, be peace with myself and said, okay, I'm going to do the best I can, you know. Um, those are, those three things helped me tremendously.
mm,
Uh, you know, and, seeing other people who have been successful, but, I keep saying, if they have been able to do this, I could do it myself. So
right.
those are really the way I did to protect, my inner peace.
Now, another thing that nobody would not know, is you're an amazing salsa dancer. So, I mean, hey,
Thanks for pointing that out. Because dance is like, it's like it's healthy for you. Um, you know, when I have a bad day, I go dancing salsa. Tony, I mean, I'm so happy, with the joy. It's just so much fun. So you do need to have some fun in your life, whatever you do, because you go to the gym, but I go to the salsa dance and I dance, I sweat. So for me, it's joy, it's connection, networking, but it's also it's healthy for me.
so I guess, to protect your peace, what I'm hearing is, you do things to kind of fill that gap, and you just kind of just continue to think positive, not allowing these negative thoughts to kind of, put a sour, feeling to everything. And dancing is your version of getting that release. I love that. Those were some great remedies. I think that I love to dance. I constantly have music on in the house all the time. I have music on right now, in the background. I think the music is always in my house. Those are some great ways to help protect our peace. And I appreciate that. And, going into the next flow of the show, Sadiq, I appreciate you sharing that. So don't go anywhere. we're going to have another moment in the final thoughts portion of the show where you can kind of give us some of your final thoughts. So thank you, Siddiqui.
You're welcome.
With, Donnie, you know, when we met recently at the Rotary District meeting, and you were our keynote speaker talking about Tunnel to Towers. And I really appreciate, in such a short period of time, just opening up your schedule and making yourself available. I would appreciate if you can share with us a time where you hit a breaking point. What did you do and how did you get yourself out?
So it was a difficult time in my life. I had been working in higher education for the majority of my adult career. I found myself, I had worked years ago in Manhattan at a prestigious art college. I had moved to City University of New York. And I found myself after about 2 years in, and I was there for 10, about 2 years in, starting to question the path that I was on. And at that point, I was well in my 30s, later half of my 30s. And I began thinking about, was I really happy with this direction? Is that where I wanted to go? And the answer was no, overall. And I was looking for escape into moving to another university setting or going further down that road. And I knew some people who had been helped by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, and I knew some people who had been working at the foundation, and I saw like the amount of satisfaction they were taking away from it, from the work they were doing. And I decided, this was right at the end of the pandemic. Hey, that's something I would be happy with, that I would feel self-satisfied, that I would enjoy the work that I'm doing and giving back to people. I felt very overlooked and underestimated and underappreciated in the job that I was in. And it was a very strong struggle that I had to overcome and get through. And I did. We were talking earlier about accepting help. Is it okay to accept help? It's a personality flaw of mine not to accept help. I like to help others, and I don't feel comfortable asking for that help. So it became a very harrowing road that I was walking down there, because I not only was I unhappy in my career and therefore very much in a large aspect of my life, I for help. And now what I'm learning to do, and I'm going to be turning 50 years old in 2 weeks. So
What?
yeah,
Awesome.
I can't believe it, but who's this old dude? But really, now what I'm learning to do is to ask when I'm not familiar with something, when I'm in uncharted waters, when I feel myself just drowning in a situation, and also to accept help from others, and to understand that others are, it's not a weakness to not know the answers. And no matter whether you're 22 or 50 or 8, like, no matter what it is, it's really important to accept the fact that it's okay not to know all the answers, and not to be everyone's rock.
It's true, man. I appreciate you, being vulnerable and sharing that, right? Because it's not easy just to say, hey, it's a personality flaw. Um, but it's also good to know that, right? It's
It's the
good to
only one I
know
have. No,
what
I'm
we
kidding.
struggle, right? It's
No, there's a
interesting
lot.
because I had that, like I'm at a position right now that I probably should get a personal trainer because
Mm.
I brought myself to a point where I'm like, do I gotta count macros and micros and what does that even really mean? But I do want to get myself to a point, and I've hit so many different breaking points right now in regards to that, but that asking help. And so there was a group of guys in the gym and they were all working out, and I noticed and I said, hey, you know, do you mind, if I come early enough? Can I work out with you guys? And these we're older in our 40s and it's different. And they were like, if you could hang. I said, oh, I hope I can hang, but you never know. But, Donnie, I appreciate that. And, so when you were transitioning, right, in the workforce, there must have been so much, I guess, fear and doubt, right? I'm assuming, but it's just the unknown. You liked what you were doing, but, you know, when you hit that breaking point, what in your position, what was it that really just said enough's enough?
I honestly, it wasn't the students. It was more the administration of the place that I was working for. I felt very undervalued, and I knew that with my experience and um, my devotion, and I knew that I had so much more to give, and I really at that point just like looking around me realized this is not the world that you want to be a part of. This is not, I no disrespect to people who find satisfaction in that. For me personally, I felt like I needed another outlet. I needed something that was going to give me that hands-on satisfaction of working with people who, and in this case, it's first responders, veterans who've been catastrophically injured in service to our country, first responders who've been injured in
So you
service
kind
to
of
the
found a
community.
purpose in that work.
So I found this very strong purpose.
Wow.
And it was, to me, um, what I needed and what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
And that's Darwin, you were talking about in your experience in this transformation hitting a rock bottom or that breaking point, but seeing the results and accepting the fact. Well, Donnie, what you're sharing with us now and what I'm hearing is that once you kind of hit that breaking point, you saw more value in yourself. And rather than accepting and saying, you know what, I'm undervalued, I'm underappreciated, I'm just going to stay here. I've been here 10 years. No, you continue to push and you found purpose and you found another opportunity. How many people in their adult lives can say that they kind of reinvented themselves? And it's very brave of you. Just wanted to be straight up. I think because what you're saying is there's so many people that won't do that. They'll just stay stuck.
And I just would never be able to be that person. I just feel that that unhappiness in it's not your entire world,
Mhm.
your career, but feeling stuck, feeling like there's no escape, dreading going to work versus wanting to go, loving to go, really finding the value in yourself and what you're doing. um, I would not be able to just exist in that limbo of just being accepting fate as what it is at that point and floating through paycheck to paycheck and just 9 to 5. It wouldn't be acceptable for me.
Mhm.
So what was that proven concept? What was that kind of like little taste or that experience or that one moment or that person you helped? What was it that kind of said, "Oh, you know what? I found my purpose here."
You know, I was at an event for Tunnel to Towers, and I was asked to work with a group of Marines who had been catastrophically injured. They were amputees, the great majority of them amputees. Some of them had lost their vision. Some of them, you know, it was just they had sacrificed themselves so much. And I was thinking to myself how nervous I was. It was the first few months that I've been working there, and I was given this task of working with these amazing people who had been through so much. And then I met them in person, and their energy was so positive, and their attitudes about life were just so strong, and just they really truly were comfortable in themselves. And me being there with them and taking away that that maybe this little bit that I'm doing today, maybe helping out, is just helping these heroes get through more. And the dog is not behaving any longer. But just it really reaffirmed that this is what I wanted to do, and this was what my purpose was going to be.
That's great. You know, Sadiq, yeah, I can imagine that you kind of have that same feeling as far as that purposeful driven, for the lack of better words, that feeling of inspiring other students to change their lives. Do you feel like you get that same satisfaction in with distance education in Africa?
Of course, I wanted to jump in. You know, when I heard Danny say the purpose and helping people, this is exactly what has happened to me. Because imagine, you know, being able to offer this scholarship to these people in Africa who, you know, would not otherwise, you know, have gotten that, you know, opportunity, and then going back to the graduation ceremony to meet the people physically, to feel them, to see that they showing the certificate they received from the University of Virginia and telling me, well, Siddiqui, you changed my life. I said, how? You know, one lady, I could give an example, you know, in Uganda, you know, just told me, Siddiqui, you changed my life. I said, how? She said,
Wow.
I just took one course, the project management courses from the University of Virginia, and I was jobless. But I took the course, I got the certificate, I went to a job interview, and the first thing the panel asked, the first question, did you go to Darden School in Virginia to start? She said, no, I've never left Uganda. You know, because it was on her CV. And she explained the concept of how to manage a project. And they hired her on the spot. She got a job. So she's telling me, I'm sitting, you know, listening to her, and tears are coming out of my, I mean, it's just an incredible satisfaction that someone, you know, told you, you helped me, you changed my life. And now she can take care of herself, take care of her family, you know, with the skill she got. So yes, Tony, you know, that's been my purpose in life, education, you know, to give back to people, you know, that. So in life, I think if you don't have a purpose in life, you will never be satisfied. That's never. So I could relate to Danny exactly. You know, so for me, I find my purpose, which is, you know, education, you know, helping people getting skill, getting job. Yes, exactly.
You know, that's a great testimony, right? Because again, that's that continued proven concept, right? That's kind of the ripple effect that just comes with it, right? Darwin, you do a great job of inspiring those that are around you, right? Me, myself, being on the board of the Latino Chamber of Commerce and working with you these past few years, even watching you grow and develop as a leader. I find myself, I probably never told you this, but sometimes you inspire me. It's like you allow me to do the things, I'm always going 200 miles per hour. Sometimes I'll bring you a problem and a solution at the same time, not to just try to put more things on you, right? But you're very purposeful and you try to inspire those around you. So, you know, do you find that that's a part of your purpose, as a leader now in your work of life?
I think it's a philosophy that I've lived by for a while now. And one of the quotes that I know you're going to start giggling as soon as I open my mouth, because you already heard it so many times, that a candle loses nothing by what, Anthony? You finish it.
Come on, don't put me on.
A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. That's what I say all the time. And I think it illustrates the fact that that candle is losing nothing by lighting another candle. But imagine if all of us are candles in one room and there's 1,000 people, the room's completely dark. Only use that one spark, that one flame, that one source of light to be able to light up the entire room. And there's nothing lost by that. And I've heard it said before, the quote of, you should aspire to inspire before you expire. Because the expiration date is happening. We just don't know when.
Right.
And so I think we all have to have a part of our mindset is legacy-minded mindset. Because
Right.
we know that we're on borrowed time. And Muhammad Ali said it best. We're on borrowed time, and rent is what we pay for our room here on earth. The service to others is the rent we pay for our room here on earth.
This brings me to a concept of expanders versus containers. We're talking about building legacy. It's like, are you going to continue to expand or are you going to be contained, right? Donna, you were talking about just not feeling appreciated. The power within acceptance. You could have accepted that very, very easy. I think that you challenged yourself, you reinvented yourself, you found something that you found new purpose, and you left. And good for you. Right.
And I think I was listening to Siddiqui and what he was saying. The experience with the students was such a different thing for me than from the administrative aspect of it. You really are touching lives, and you really are helping people find their way and to where they want to go when you're working in education. And I mean, that story was beautiful, and I really appreciate you sharing it. And it kind of sparked back that there were good parts of it. Was just those good parts were what were holding me from moving to the next part of what I needed to do in my case. And they still do inspire me, and these stories, and your story certainly did. That was wonderful. But as I was saying earlier, I had to kind of find myself and navigate my own sea and kind of get to the port that I was meant to be in. And it certainly wasn't that. And that was 20 something years that I spent working in higher ed. So.
Wow. So Donnie, how do you protect your peace? When your inner voice was, or sometimes tells you you can't, how do you convince yourself that you can?
So, well, I have, I have a very strong support system around me and my family, my friends, and this lunatic little bulldog running around my apartment barking at me all this entire interview almost. But really, you have to find time for yourself, personal time. Like there are, ways to get the negativity and the energy out of yourself. And you guys found it through working out. I haven't picked up a weight in probably 10 years. But I draw.
Oh.
you know, I spend a lot of time with my friends. I'm again, music is a huge outlet for me. I go to concerts. I sing myself sometimes. It's just you know, not well, but I just
So give it a
I do
try.
what
Give it
I
a try. Give
can.
us something. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
No, it's not that bad. But it's just it's important to find a release for yourself, and it's important for you to find a way to get that negative energy out, so that it's not given you're not giving it residence in your own heart.
I agree. And you know, I think that once we find or feel that negativity, um, for me, I love music as well, right?
Yeah.
But there's certain music that triggers me. I
Hmm.
love like all types of music, but if I listen to certain rap or hip hop, my mind, you know, it's not really bringing the positive energy. Talking about certain different things that they're talking about in the lyrics, I really feel that sets my energy into that. So I got to be very delicate and be careful with what I even listen to from the form of music. But I love that because when you're protecting your peace, there's certain things that come up. You got to understand how to recognize that, stop it, and change that thought, change that energy. And I think that's really powerful because that's the power within acceptance. It's just not accepting the certain circumstances that were given to you, but creating a new environment or circumstances to protect your peace and give you that purpose. You know, Donnie, I really appreciate all these points and, you know, just talking to us about your breaking point and, you know, these proven concepts. And again, I hope that those that are watching, you know, if you're watching on the live, please feel free, hashtag live. If you're watching on the replay, please feel free, hashtag replay. We want to connect with you, you know, and again, Donnie, don't go anywhere. I just want to allow everyone to hear your final thoughts towards the end of the show. Okay. And so Darwin, you know, anchoring us in for the night, you know, I really appreciate the feedback and just kind of the collaboration through the years. And, you know, you've always been a great thought partner, right? When there's certain things that I wanted to try, you know, we would air things out, right? And I think that from a support system point of view, I would consider, you know, you in that support group, especially now that we have the Tunnel to Towers Gala coming up May 16th, just throwing it out there and coming on our weekly calls. You know, it's really nice just to kind of see us progress and develop and continue to develop. So, you know, Darwin, with the many hats that you wear, and, you know, again, thank you for your service as a veteran. What was a breaking point for you, and how did you get through it?
Well, there were several in my life, I would say. And but you know what? Going back to, I know that I mentioned to it before, but going back to this whole process of this competition, right? Because it's just so fresh. That's what happened. I mean, I can go back to a breaking point. I mean, 20 years ago when I was in the Marine Corps, I mean, in boot camp alone, every day is a breaking point, right? Like that's the whole point, is to break you down. But having, and going to that example, having that unit of other future Marines, because at that moment you're still a recruit, but having that unit and having them going in the same direction, but experiencing the same feelings that you have, it makes it that much more palatable in a sense, because you're all experiencing and you're encouraging each other, right? And you know, you have to accomplish the mission of graduating as a unit. So yes, shout out to our military service and women, appreciate that. But even now, just recently, in the past couple of weeks, I mean, there's days where I got to a breaking point where I want to break away from my meal plan. I want to break away from going to the gym, right? But then I remind myself as to why I'm doing this and why I deserve the success that I'm trying to achieve, right? I think that's also part of it.
So I think that a lot of us could probably learn from some type of transition health-wise. When you see, let's say you're going out to eat and everybody's eating whatever they want to eat, I think I saw you bring a container to an event and brought your own food. Now that's discipline.
Yeah. And if anything, I had somebody take a picture of me and show me, and it just, I had to look at it myself to say, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. But
yeah, I think I probably saw the same picture. I'm like, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah. But if anything, it's just a reminder as to listen. If you're really serious about this goal, then don't be bashful, don't be shy of showing it out loud as to what you're doing. Then that's part of it. It's all. I mean, I believe it's a level of accountability too.
So what I'm hearing, and would you agree, is that you embrace hitting breaking points?
I believe, yes, I embracing the breaking points as part of your journey to success.
Because you sounded like you kind of enjoyed that breaking point with your transformation, and the way that you were kind of explaining it, I think you were seasoned in, early on in life through the Marines.
Yeah.
How? Go.
I was gonna say was hearing everybody's story about everybody experienced a different level of pressure to some degree in their lives. Everybody in this panel and people most likely watching. And the ultimate, I'd say, the pinnacle of reaching a level of development in our lives is we always use metaphors and analogies. A diamond is what we're trying to go for, right? But two things have to happen for a diamond to be what it is. Number one, it takes an immense amount of pressure to be able to create that diamond. That's just the diamond in a raw form. The actual value increases in the diamond based on the cut. You ever heard of that, right? Certain cuts, a princess cut, a line cut. It depends on the cut as to how also expensive that diamond can become. So in order for you to get to that point of a rare, expensive gem like a diamond, there's got to be a lot of pressure, and you got to go through a lot of cuts.
I like that. I'm just going to allow people to process that. They're still probably thinking about that analogy. I agree 100%. But again, it's so hard for people to accept that, because what do they say fear is? False expression or emotion appearing real. And there's so many times, granted, some of us here were able to persevere and hit that breaking point and, be thankful that it happened. But there's others that don't. So Darwin, for you, what was that proven concept? Whether you're using the analogy of the military or your transformation or, being the president and, CEO of a chamber, what was that proven concept that just kind of like, oh, I see it?
When you achieve something like maybe putting together an event and you're on the way to putting together that event, you're stumbling, you're falling, things are falling apart on you. This is what happens with anything. And then you realize that it wasn't as bad as you thought. And then everything worked out at the end. And I feel like when you talk about false evidence appearing real, the fear in our minds creates this situation that never even really happened. You start realizing that it wasn't even true. It never really happened. It was just all this false play and narrative that your subconscious was building to stop you from pursuing what you're trying to get accomplished. And so I've seen it over and over again with doing things with the organization, in my personal business, in my workout lifestyle now. It's just over and over again, thinking that I'm not going to be able to do it. It's going to be too hard. I'm going to get sick. I'm going to get injured. And none of it happens.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. It's all a lie. It's that little voice that we were talking about, somebody mentioned before, a little voice inside of you.
Yeah. It's
trying to distract you from that. And when it comes to doing anything, for example, talking about the fitness, you got to feed your body the right nutrients, right? When your mind is just the same way. So what we have to do is feed our focus and starve our distractions, right? You got to feed our faith and starve our doubts. Feed our courage and starve our fear.
Now for those that are watching, right, you're giving so much insight and wisdom. I love this. Feed our faith and starve our doubts. Would you share with us, how do you get these analogies and metaphors? I love using analogies and metaphors. So is it, a mentor? Is it a book? Is it a fortune cookie from when you order Chinese, before your transformation, of course? Where do you come up with these, just to kind of give those that they don't have that kind of enlightenment to be able to kind of say things off the cuff, to be encouraged or inspired to know the no, right? So again, it's really easy for you to allow these things to just roll off your tongue, but for others, it might not. So where are you getting some of this from?
It's everywhere. It's from books. It's from mentors that I've listened to, whether live at a seminar or on YouTube. By the way, that's really easy. Just go on YouTube and type motivational video, and you will literally fall down a rabbit hole of videos. Yeah. And by the way, that rabbit hole, be careful, because you can type in something else in YouTube and you will be up to 4 a.m. looking at things you probably shouldn't be looking at. So it goes either way. And that's what I'm saying, is that you feed that and starve the other stuff, right? And so if you're constantly seeking to get better, then you're going to find the things that are going to make you better. So you are going to find the right books, the right seminars, the right coaches out there, the right podcasts, the right even TikTok videos, because that's what I watch. Those videos, those books on a daily basis, just to be able to feed my brain the right kind of information, so that from time to time, I come off to seem a little more smarter than I really am, all because of the fact that it's parrot what I've been hearing. But sometimes when you need to hear it, it's like a song. It's like a song. The reason that we sing songs and when we learn nursery rhymes in school, so we can learn. We can learn, and it becomes just something second nature, right?
I agree. So maybe apart from, maybe working out or going to the gym, talk to us about, how do you protect your peace? How do you protect your inner voice when it's telling you, go eat that food, or don't go to the gym, or, do what everybody else is doing? How do you protect your peace?
Yeah. Well, the people around you, right? Some people, the people who really care about your goals will hold you accountable. And thankfully, I have some tremendous people like yourself too, Anthony, that I'm pretty sure if you saw me about to eat a piece of cake, you'd probably say, hey, dude, you're the one.
Yo, what are you doing? Yeah.
What are you doing? Right. And I got friends that do that. I got my family that does that. I got my loved ones that do that for me. And those are the people that really in your corner. But what's to say? But integrity is what you do when you're not being watched. That's integrity, right? When you're doing the right thing when nobody's looking. And that's where it takes the real discipline. And that's when you got to really look at yourself and say, how bad do I really want this? Do I really want this that bad? So I may slip off, or I might get tempted to veer off track. And I stop myself for a second and say, all right, you know what? I can do this right now. I can eat this cake. I can drink this beer. But how will I feel when I'm done?
Right.
How will I feel? Will it be worth it?
Will it be worth it?
Put myself in the mirror and say, I know that I didn't do the right thing just now.
Right. And that's so important. I think that for me, I'm going 3 years this December dry, not drinking.
There you go. Congratulations.
And thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And to me, it kind of is a big deal, but not at the same time, because I'm not allowing it to be a big deal, right? I'm not counting days or anything like that, but I just don't feel like it serves me a purpose. Yeah. And there are some times where I dance with the thought of, you know what, I'm good now. What's one drink? And then I'm like, well, in my mind, that one drink, I can say, you know what? What's another one? Mm-hmm. And then what's another one? And then now I'm good tomorrow. Then the next day, what's one drink? And so again, I just don't want to feed that curiosity. It's like, it doesn't serve me a purpose. I don't want to, it's not going to do anything. And like you said, I have loved ones around me that say, hey, you don't need it. You're a better version of yourself without it. And they encourage me. So I know that I don't need it, right? Because drinking was a coping method that I used. And I maybe in the Latino or, in our culture, it's around us, right? So that's just kind of me sharing a little bit about that and relating, but I get it. It's wonderful that we can have these conversations again to talk about these things, because one, as men, we don't really get a chance to share, connect with other men and talk about these things. So I really appreciate you all being very vulnerable, because the things that you guys are doing in your lives now is amazing. And if nobody tells you or tells you enough, I'm so proud of you all. I'm so thankful to just call you my friends, and iron sharpens iron, right? So at the end of every show, I can't believe that we're already rounding third base, right? It kind of goes so fast. I always like to do this thing called final thoughts. Final thoughts is around just kind of wrapping up, rehashing, and giving some of your best remedies. So in speaker rotation, I'll start with Siddiqui. Siddiqui, what are some of your final thoughts on this discussion around the power within acceptance?
Well, I think it's been an incredible discussion. For me, my final thoughts in, accepting, being yourself, and I think, the lesson I learned in life is, sometimes patience pays off. Be patient, sometimes, and just do what you believe in. If you believe in something, go for it, and don't doubt yourself. Because the power of believing in yourself helps tremendously in life. It helps you to accept yourself, and to accept other people as well.
I like that. Donnie, any final thoughts?
I would say don't be afraid to reinvent yourself at any point of your life. I would say find inspiration from the people around you. I found a lot of inspiration from the stuff you guys said tonight, seriously. And I find inspiration from the heroes that I'm surrounded with in the foundation, and my friends, these amazing human beings that I surround myself with, my family, the ones who had no choice but to be stuck with me. The rest of, just accept, the love and help from the people that are surrounding you, and accept their inspiration.
Yeah, definitely. And then Darwin, final thoughts?
I'll say this. It's April 25th, 2024. If you think that it's too late to start that goal, it's not. Start it. Go for that dream. Go for that passion. Plant that seed in your heart, because whatever dreams and goals and visions you currently have, they're actually not coming from you, they're coming from a higher source or God, depending on your belief. And it's there for a reason. Don't discredit it. Don't put it to the side. Follow it anyway. You'll be glad you did.
Yeah, that feeling of discernment when you know what you should be doing and when you know you shouldn't. I like that. Thank you so much. And what I always try to do is I always like to talk kind of in future form, right? When you're putting things into existence, say I am, say I will, right? Don't say someday, one day, right? Don't be too hard on yourself. And I love it. Go for it. Believe in yourself. Don't be afraid to reinvent. So, guys, as we're wrapping up, this is the quote of the show. When I accept myself, I am freed from the burden of needing you to accept me. Go in grace, go in peace. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Again, this is Anthony Rosa, Mr. Remedy, and you are watching another show on the Roundtable Remedies. See you later, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.